This episode is brought by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you!
Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Red Raptor Writes. Many of you probably heard, but this past June 11th marked the 30th anniversary of Steven Spielberg's cinematic masterpiece, Jurassic Park. To celebrate, well, I had a few ideas, so a poll was put out for you guys to decide.
I love democracy.
The choice that won was what I'm about to do now. Discuss why we need a new big Hollywood blockbuster series that's more modern, more updated. I'll talk about Jurassic Park, its history, how it impacted paleontology, and why we need something else like that. So guys, without further delay, let's dig this up. Let's start off by talking about Jurassic Park. Actually, no, our story starts before that. It starts with the dinosaur renaissance. I've discussed this at length in past videos, so feel free to skip ahead to this time if you're already caught up on your paleontological history. Our story really starts in 1969 with the description of Deinonychus by John Ostrom. Ostrom? I'll stick with Ostrom. What he found were striking similarities to modern birds and the earliest bird Archaeopteryx, which had already been known for a century at this point. Then features like a stiff, rigid, upright tail with ossified tendons, pointed to a nimble, bipedal creature that used its tail as a counterbalance rather than those goofy tripodal kangaroo depictions. For an active, bird-like predator, a high metabolism and warm-bloodedness seem logical. This was a huge leap from the slow, dumb lizards of the past. And if all that wasn't awesome enough, Ostrom revived the theory of birds evolving from dinosaurs. So in 1969, the door swung open for the dinosaur renaissance. From the 70s and onwards, dinosaurs more and more became depicted as these warm-blooded, agile, and perhaps even intelligent creatures. Dinos were no longer these slow, dumb, lumbering, swamp-loving brutes. Scientists and artists have thought up active bird-like dinosaurs before, but these ideas never reached widespread popularity or acceptance until the 70s. Jack Horner, yes, that Jack Horner, still credit where credit is due, was able to demonstrate parental behaviors with Maiasaura, though that takes us more in the Lost World territory. But in the dinosaur renaissance, finally we saw some real progress unlike anything for 100 years. For scientists, paleontologists knew about these discoveries and portrayals, but not the general public. Pop culture still lagged behind. Not many people had the guts to tell the boomers that the dinosaurs they grew up with were wrong, unlike the absolute legends at Your Dinosaurs Are Wrong, who do this every video. Maybe it's easier to sell merchandise when you're hitting the nostalgia button, finding new ways to celebrate mediocrity rather than being truly exceptional. Even by 1988, a childhood favorite of mine, The Land Before Time, still used these outdated portrayals nearly 20 years later. Wait, correction. The sequels 2, 3, 5, and 7 were childhood favorites. I don't think I've ever finished the original. Every time I watch it, I get bored out of my mind by the midpoint. Nah, I'll take Friends for dinner over that any day. Beyond the Mysterious Beyond? Oof. So even if the actual paleontologists were catching up, paleo media lagged decades behind. This was until the 1993 hit Jurassic Park, adapting Michael Crichton's novel, which emphasized the paleontological updates. This work of pure awesome cinema brought paleo-accurate dinosaurs to life, for the 90s at least. No more kangaroo tyrannosaurus, these predators were now chasing down cars. No more swampy sauropods with their sex lakes. Brachiosaurus is shown to be fully capable on land. And no more dumb, cold-blooded, off-brand lizards sitting around waiting to go extinct. It's repeated several times over that non-avian dinosaurs evolved into birds. Birds are dinosaurs, and the ones that weren't birds were still very bird-like. It's beautiful. This is absolute gold, certainly way ahead of any other dino film from the 20th century. It's such a wild departure from what came before. The absolute nards on Spielberg and Universal for going like, yeah, you know what everyone else is doing? Well, that's stupid. Let's show them how stupid they are with our radical new dinosaurs. Now, you know I'm not that old. I've only lived in a world where Jurassic Park and The Lost World already existed, and I was too young to remember JP3's release. These warm-blooded, active dinos have always been the norm for me. Imagine with me, if you will, being conscious and aware in 93. Imagine how huge a shift that was. Dinosaurs being portrayed in such a revolutionary way. This must have been the case for a lot of people, since JP became the highest grossing movie in its time, until Titanic, which sucks and doesn't deserve that title. When looking at paleo media over the years, you can see a clear distinction between what came before and after Jurassic Park. We just saw a pre-JP world, but afterwards came an explosion of new paleo media trying to capitalize on this up-and-coming dinosaur craze. Audiences were hit left and right by new dinosaur movies, dinosaur video games, dinosaur shows, and who can forget the tidal wave of documentaries that followed. For 2.5 years, I've been reviewing dino docs, and I'm still finding new ones to cover. It's a never-ending pit. And what do you notice about all of these? In an effort to cash off of the JP craze, they embraced many of those dinosaur renaissance ideas. Most content stopped with those gross vintage designs. Even Godzilla saw a facelift, though maybe that one is best left forgotten. By the 2000s, the Renaissance had been solidified into the public consciousness. Now there was no going back. But after all this time, we really get into the main subject here. There's no going back, but is there no going forward either? You see, all this talk of the film's impact is great and all, but it's 30 years old now. Again, more than my lifetime and older than most of you at home watching.
You're old. Look at yourself, old man. You got multiple chins 'cause you're old.
Despite its age, Jurassic Park still has a chokehold on paleontology. Its large shadow still looms over an entire field of science. I can't even read an article about dinosaurs without them mentioning Jurassic Park. When the mainstream uninformed think of dinosaurs, they still to this day picture Spielberg's versions. I'm not sure if research has been done on this or if it's even possible to research, but still a sizable number of people don't know the obvious short feathery velociraptor, they still think Dilophosaurus spit venom, and they still believe T-Rex had bad eyesight. All this nonsense. Then to make matters worse, these tropes are repeated over and over again. Even supposedly educational content still draws heavily from this sci-fi Hollywood blockbuster. You might as well learn about astrophysics through Star Wars. If you want a deeper discussion about what the film gets right and wrong, check out my accuracy review. All of those inaccuracies aren't the point of this video. The point is that we've come full circle. The dinosaur renaissance has become the outdated old guard. Pop culture and paleo media are still stuck in the past 3 decades ago and refuse to move on. Jurassic Park has become the very thing it swore to destroy. Alright, that's a bit dramatic. It's not like the movie itself did anything wrong, it's just a movie. But paleontology has moved on. We have a vast new wealth of knowledge. Our understanding of prehistoric life has radically changed in many ways. I don't know if any term has been coined yet, but we're in a post-Renaissance world. In my opinion, it's time for something new. Time for a new Jurassic Park. Figuratively speaking, I mean. Please stop milking this franchise with bad sequels. No, I mean we need a new pop culture phenomenon to totally shake up the way the public views dinosaurs. Something as revolutionary as the 1993 release. Sure, we've had a few contenders. Yes, there was the World Trilogy I just poked fun of, but in many cases, they went even less accurate than the original. Now, I get it makes sense to stick to the same style for the same universe, but was anyone asking for even less accuracy? At least make the designs look good if you're going all out. Not like this. Dominion at least added feathered dinos, but even still. Prehistoric Planets 1 and 2 have been highly praised for their accuracy. You can throw me in there too. I had a ton to praise. But, I mean, come on, it's a paleo documentary. Take a step outside of social media where you follow lots of paleo commenters. Does anyone who's not already part of the paleo community really care? Have they even heard of this? Okay, obviously a few out there have, I'm being a bit hyperbolic, but clearly it has nowhere near the same reach as the highest grossing movie of its time. Also, more updated depictions have been around for literal decades, at least in the feather department. The first documentary to showcase them was 2001's When Dinosaurs Roamed America. Did anyone really care?
I didn't care. I didn't care.
So you can be as modern and up to date as you want, but without that reach, does it even make a sound if it's tapping on the glass, waving through a window? I'd argue the same thing for Prehistoric Planet. We may be hyped about this series and follow the science behind it, but general audiences wouldn't even know of its existence. To catch up people's perception of dinosaurs, I say we need a new Jurassic Park level blockbuster that everyone will trample each other to run into the theater to see. But take the fame of that series and combine it with the accuracy of Prehistoric Planet, then who knows? In this hypothetical scenario, we could live in a much more informed world. Maybe like in the 90s and 2000s, more paleo media will jump in on the success and also portray their creatures in a modern way, which creates more awareness and it builds and builds in a loop. What will be that epic catalyst? A creature feature horror? A family adventure film? A dystopian teen drama but with dinos? Again, who knows? Hollywood's dino films have been missing the mark for the past decade, so it's anyone's guess as to what breaks the cycle. When will Hollywood get their act together? Because, like I tend to say, competence is in short supply these days. As for now, the Jurassic franchise is still the undisputed ruler of the box office in terms of dinosaur movies, so we'll need something epic to stage a coup. Before I close out this video, I just want to be crystal clear about one thing. Jurassic Park should always be remembered as a legendary piece of filmmaking. There is no universe where I want JP to be forgotten about, left behind to the sands of time. No matter how far ahead our scientific understanding of dinosaurs progresses, no matter how dated these portrayals become, this is still a phenomenal movie that revolutionized the cinematic landscape, and not just in the public's view of dinosaurs, yada yada, we covered that. Nah, I mean, this is one of the greatest movies ever made. No joke. I say that with a straight face, even if it sounds pretentious. This is a masterclass in cinema. There's so much praise to give. I can be here for hours breaking down everything that works so well. I mean, they beautifully adapt the novel to the screen, in my opinion, being even better than the original source material. Despite the cutting, rewriting, and condensing for the movie, the book's themes are never lost as the writers explore progress, scientific development, and how we should properly use those things. Is progress for the sake of progress good, or should we try to follow some other standards? How do we use it? It's not enough just to say you have themes, that's a common excuse to defend bad movies. No, they have to be well executed like here. My favorite scenes are when the characters challenge each other on these issues. They're so good. Spielberg dusts off those horror skills from Jaws to bring back truly suspenseful sequences that leave my butt clenched even after 100 viewings. They build tension, they're methodical, they have stakes. You know, rather than going full Sharknado by throwing movement and loud noises at the screen to keep the kiddos occupied. Those special effects may look a bit dated 30 years later, but were total game changers in Hollywood. Some old CGI, though, is grounded with amazing practical effects, so you never lose your immersion. We actually care about the very fun yet very human cast of characters going through these life-threatening situations. I love how Dr. Grant's character arc is parallel to the dinosaurs. They both start off as raptors, sort of speak, and then evolve into something more modern, more beautiful. And who can forget that mesmerizing soundtrack by John Williams? I get goosebumps every time, I swear. There is so much to love in Jurassic Park. Again, I'm sure I could rave about this for hours if I bothered to go into any detail, but that's not the purpose of this video. If I find a good lengthy analysis, I'll share it with you. If there's nothing to satiate the hunger for more raving, then I'll make one myself. So I never want people to stop loving this movie. It's absolutely brilliant from start to finish. It'll probably be better than any future movie I'm suggesting to you right now. But in terms of its dinosaur portrayals, perhaps it's time for something new. Well, that's all I've got to say on the subject today. What do you guys think? What kind of new paleo flick would you like to see? What new research should be in the forefront? Should the Jurassic franchise be overthrown or simply changed for the times? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, to please leave a like, subscribe, and to check out my social media. Happy 30th anniversary!